make the day the time changes the first day of summer.
What?
Well, it's 8 o'clock and it's still light out.
Well, a lot of good the extra daylight's gonna do us. We still have a 3-hour drive back. We're not gonna be home until after midnight.
Well, if it really bugged you, Johnny, you wouldn't do it.
You think I want to blow my Sunday on a scene like this? You know, I think we either need to move Mother out here or move the grave closer to town.
She can't make a trip like this.
Oh, tell me she can't. Do you have any of that candy left?
No.
Look at this thing. We still remember. I don't. You know, I don't even remember what the man looks like.
Johnny, it takes you 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes to put a wreath on the grave and another 6 hours to drive back and forth. Mother wants to remember, so we trot 200 miles out into the country and she stays at home.
Well, we're here, John. All right. Which row is it in?
Boy, there's no one around here.
Well, it's late. If you'd have gotten up earlier.
Oh, look, I already lost an hour's sleep to the time change.
I think you complained just to hear yourself talk. There it is.
I wonder what happened to the one from last year. Each year we come out here, we spend good money on these things, and the one from last year is gone.
Well, the flowers die, Johnny. The caretaker or somebody gets rid of them.
Aw, a little spit and polish, clean this thing up, sell it again next year. I wonder how many times we bought the same one. Hey, come on, Barb. Church was this morning, huh? I mean, praying's for church, huh? Come on.
I haven't seen you in church lately.
Well, there's not much sense in me going to church. Well, you remember that one time when we were small? It was right over there. I jumped out at you from behind those trees, and Grandpa got all excited, and he shook his fist, and he said, "Boy, you'll be damned to hell." Remember that? Right over there? Boy, we used to really be scared out here.
Johnny!
Well, you're still afraid.
Stop it now. I mean it.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're being ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, here comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
It's all right. Don't worry about them. I can handle them. Probably get a lot more of them as soon as they find out about us. This pump out here is locked. Is there a key? I suppose you tried this. Do you live here?
No.
Jesus. We got to get out of here. We have to get where there are some other people. Well, we better take some food. I'll see if I can find some.
What's happening? What's happening?
They're smashing out my headlights. Man, 2 of them. There are 2 of them out there. Have you seen any more around here? I can take care of those 2.
I don't know.
Look, I know you're afraid.
I don't know. What's happening?
Don't look at it! They know we're in here now. We got to get some lights on in this house. Why don't you see if you can find us some wood or some boards? Something over there. Something to nail this place up with. Look, I know you're afraid, but we have to try and board the place up tight. Now I'm going to board up the windows and the doors. Do you understand? We'll be all right here until someone comes to rescue us. But we have to work together. You have to help me here. Now, I want you to find some wood so that we can board the place up. Do you understand? Okay? Okay. I've got that room boarded up pretty solid now. Won't be long for those things pound their way in here. They're afraid now. They're afraid of fire. I found that out. Do you know a place back down the road called Beekman's Diner?
No.
Anyway, that's where I found that truck I have out there. Here, I want you to pick out the biggest nails you can find. There's a radio in the truck, and I jumped in to listen to it. But a big gasoline truck came screaming down the road. There must have been 10 or 15 of those things chasing after it, grabbing and holding on. Now, I didn't see them at first. I could just see that the truck was moving in a funny way. Those things were catching up to it. One right across the road. Slammed on my brakes to keep from hitting it myself. It went right through the guardrail. I guess the driver must have cut off the road. There's a big gasoline station down by Beekman's Diner. It went right through a billboard, ripped over a gas pump, and never stopped moving. By now, it's like a moving bonfire. Didn't know if the truck was going to explode or what. I can still hear the man screaming, those things just backing away from it. I looked back down the road to see if there was anyone there that could help me. That's when I noticed that the entire place had been encircled. Wasn't a sign of life. Except by now there were no more screams. I realized that I was all alone. 50 or 60 of those things just standing there staring at me. I started to drive out. I just plowed right through them. They didn't move. They didn't run. They just stood there staring at me. I just wanted to crush them. They scattered through the air like bugs.
We were riding in the cemetery. Johnny and me. Johnny. And we came to put a wreath on my father's grave. And he said, "Can I have some candy?" Barbara and we didn't have any. And God, it's hot in here. It's hot. And he said, "Oh, it's late. Why did we start so late?" And I said, "Johnny, if you'd have gotten up earlier, we wouldn't be so late." And he asked me if I was afraid, and then I said, "I'm not afraid, Johnny." And then this man started walking down the road. He came real slowly, and Johnny kept teasing me, saying, "He's coming to get you, Barbara." And I just laughed, and I said, "Johnny, stop it." And then Johnny ran away, and I went up to this man, and I started to apologize. And
Why don't you just keep calm?
I looked up at him, and I just said, "Good evening," and then he grabbed me. He grabbed me, and he ripped at me. He held me, and he ripped at my clothes.
I think you should
And
just
so
calm down.
I started just screaming, "Johnny, Johnny, help me, help me." And he wouldn't let me go. He just ripped at me. And then Johnny came, and he ran, and he fought this man. And I got so scared that I just ran. I ran, and then Johnny didn't come. It was nothing. We have to wait for Johnny. We have to go out there and get Johnny, please. We have to go out there and get him. Don't you understand? He's out there, please. We have to go.
Don't you know what's going on out there? This is no Sunday school picnic.
No, you understand? My brother is alone.
Your brother is dead.
No, my brother's not dead.
Yes.
No.
Listen.
Let me out.
No.
Let me out. No.
Listen to me. I said, listen.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which now even is developing, this station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency effort hookup to keep you informed of all developments. At this hour, we repeat, these are the facts as we know them. There's an epidemic of mass murder being committed by a virtual army of unidentified assassins. The murders are taking place in villages, cities, rural homes, and suburbs with no apparent motive or reason for the slayings. It seems to be a sudden, general explosion of mass homicide. We now have some descriptions of the assassins. Eyewitnesses say they are ordinary-looking people. Some say they appear to be in some sort of trance. Others describe them as being grotesque. So at this point, there is no really authentic way for us to say who or what to look for and guard yourself against. Misshapen monsters. Reaction of law enforcement officials is one of complete bewilderment at this hour. So far, we have been unable to determine that any kind of organized investigation is yet underway. Police, sheriff deputies, and emergency ambulances are literally flooded with calls for help. The scene can best be described as mayhem. Mayors of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Erie, along with the governors of certain eastern and midwestern states, indicate that the National Guard may be mobilized at any moment. But that has not happened as yet. The only other information that reporters have been able to obtain from official resources is a warning for all citizens to stay in their homes, behind locked doors. Do not venture outside for any reason until the nature of this crisis has been determined, and until we can advise what course of action to take. Keep listening to radio and television for any special instructions as this crisis develops further. Thousands of office and factory workers are being urged to stay in their places of employment, not to make any attempt to get to their homes. However, in spite of this urging and warning, streets and highways are packed with frantic drivers attempting to get home or flee just anywhere. We repeat, the safest course of action at this time is simply to stay put wherever you are.
I found a gun and some bullets up there. Oh, and these. I've got this house boarded up pretty solid now. We'll be all right. We've got a gun, bullets, food, and a radio. Sooner or later, someone is bound to come get us out. Look, I don't know if you're hearing me now, but I'm going upstairs. If anything tries to break in down here, I can hear it from up there, and I'll be down to take care of it. You'll be all right. I'll be back to reinforce the windows and the doors. Do you understand? Okay? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just received word that the President has called a meeting of his cabinet to deal with the sudden epidemic of murder, which has seized the eastern third of this nation. The meeting is scheduled to convene within the hour. Members of the presidential cabinet will be joined by officials of the FBI and the Joint Chiefs behind closed doors. White House spokesmen say there will be an official announcement as soon as possible following that meeting. This is the latest dispatch just received in our newsroom. The latest word also from National Press Services in Washington, D.C., now tells us that the emergency presidential conference, which we just mentioned, will include high-ranking scientists from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. All radio and television stations have joined their facilities in an emergency network to bring you this news as it develops. We urge you to stay tuned to radio and television and to stay indoors at all costs. Late reports reaching this newsroom tell us to advise citizens who are seeking shelter to report to local schools, churches, government buildings, and emergency facilities for refuge from the wholesale murders which are apparently engulfing the eastern third of this nation. If you are not indoors, for God's sakes, get off the street. If you're inside, lock your doors and windows tight. Civil defense officials in Cumberland, Maryland have told newsmen that murder victims show signs of having been partially devoured. Consistent reports from the witnesses to the effect of people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of some of the victims, who looked as though they'd been torn apart. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases, the killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered. Repeating this latest bulletin we just received moments ago from Cumberland, Maryland, civil defense authorities have told newsmen that murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers. Medical examinations of victims' body show conclusively that the killers are eating the flesh of the people they kill. And so this incredible story becomes more ghastly with each report. It's difficult to imagine such a thing is actually happening. These and other reports
Wait a minute.
been receiving and passing on.
Don't shoot!
How long have
Reports
you
been
guys been
verified
down
as
there?
completely as it
I
is
could have used some
possible
help
during
up
this
here.
confused
That's the
situation.
cellar. It's the safest
Confirm
place.
that
You mean you didn't hear the racket we were making up here?
How are we supposed to know what was going on? Could have been those things for all we know.
That girl was screaming. Surely you must know what a girl screaming sounds like. Those things don't make that kind of noise. Anyone would know someone's in need of help.
Look, it's kind of hard to hear what's going on from down there.
We thought we could hear her scream, but then for all we knew, that could have meant those things were in the house after her.
And you wouldn't have come up and helped?
Well, if there were more of them.
The racket sounded like this place was being ripped apart. How were we supposed to know what was going on?
Now wait just a minute. You just got finished saying you couldn't hear from down there. Now you're saying it sounded like the place was being ripped apart? It would be nice if you would get your story straight, man.
All right, now you tell me. I'm not going to take that kind of a chance when we've got a safe place. We look into a safe place and you're telling me we're going to risk our lives because somebody might need help, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, now let's just settle down.
Listen, mister, we came up, okay? We're here now. I suggest we all go downstairs before those things find out we're in here.
They can't get in here.
You got the whole place boarded up?
Yeah, most of it, except for a few spots upstairs. They won't be hard to fix.
You're insane. The cellar is the safest place.
I'm telling you, they can't get in here.
And I'm telling you, those things turned over our car. We're damn lucky we got out at all. Now, you're telling me those things can't get through this lousy pile of wood, huh?
He's got a wife and a kid downstairs. The kid's hurt.
Well, I still think we're better off up here.
We could strengthen everything up, Mr. Cooper.
With all of us working, we can fix this place up in no time. We have everything we need up here.
Well, we can take all that stuff downstairs with us. Man, you're really crazy. You know that? You've got 1,000,000 windows up here. All these windows, you're gonna make them all strong enough to keep those things out, huh?
I told you those things don't have any strength. I smashed 3 of them and pushed another one out the door.
Were you listening when I told you those things turned over our car?
Oh, hell, any 5 good men can do that.
Well, that's just my point. Only there's not going to be 5 or 6 or 10 of them. There's going to be 20, 30, maybe even 100 of those things. And once they find out we're in here, they're going to be crawling all over this place.
Well, if there are that many, they'll probably get us wherever we are.
Look, the cellar. The cellar, there's just the one door, right? Just one door. That's all we have to protect. And I've got it fixed so it locks and boards from the inside. But up here, all these windows, why, we'd never know where they're going to hit us next.
He's got a point, Mr. Cooper, but down in the cellar, if one of those things got in, we'd be done for. We can get out of here if we have to. We've got windows to see what's going on outside, but down in the basement with no windows, if a rescue party did come, we wouldn't even know it.
But the cellar is the strongest place.
The cellar is a death trap.
I don't know, Mr. Cooper. I think he's right. You know how many's out there?
I don't know, maybe 6 or 7.
Well, you two can do whatever you like, but I'm going back.